There are moments in history when one country's mistake becomes another country's opportunity. For decades, Canada's economy was built on one simple belief that the United States would always be its most reliable economic partner. It wasn't just about trade. It was about investment, supply chains, defense cooperation, and long-term planning. Then Donald Trump changed the rules. Tariffs, trade disputes, and growing political uncertainty completely shifted the relationship. Suddenly, Canadians were forced to face a reality that very few had ever imagined. Depending too much on a single partner had become one of the country's biggest strategic weaknesses. Now, standing in Saudi Arabia, Mark Carney has delivered the clearest signal yet that Canada has no intention of looking back. Instead of relying on access to just one market, Canada is now building stronger partnerships across the world. New investments, new trade deals, new allies, and new opportunities. Ironically, the very policies that were meant to put America first may have strengthened Canada's determination to look elsewhere. And if Canada succeeds, one fact will be impossible to ignore. Donald Trump didn't just push Canada away. He may have played a major role in creating a stronger and more independent Canada. Let's take a closer look.
Couple words I have to say, I don't have to say, but I will say a couple words about Canada and where we are right now. And I'm going to draw, and we do draw in many respects, on the ambition of Vision 2030. That scale of ambition, a thriving economy, an ambitious nation. Right? Those two pillars, two of the three pillars, is the way we think. We think about building the fastest growing economy in the G7, not for 1 year, not for 1 quarter, but consistently. We think of an ambitious nation. We strive for an ambitious nation that is building at speeds not seen in generation. We're looking to catalyze $1 trillion of investment between now and the end of this decade. We are embarking on a defense industrial build that's $500 billion. We're looking to double our non-U.S. exports. We're on track for that. We're growing jobs at twice the rate of the United States. We're at the highest level of foreign direct investment in 20 years in Canada. It's running at twice the pace of our nearest G7 peer, adjusted for the size of the economy. We're now rated as the most attractive investment infrastructure destination in the world. We've got a lot more to do. But we're getting started. We're getting traction. You know the story here. You set ambitious goals. You track against those goals. You reset and you keep moving. And if you start to hit those ambitious goals, as the Minister of Finance knows, you make more ambitious goals. And when the world throws you a crisis, which it will, when it throws you an economic problem, when it throws you a geopolitical challenge, you keep focused on your long-term plan.
Carney began by presenting a vision that goes far beyond this visit to Saudi Arabia. He spoke about a Canada that is growing faster, attracting record levels of investment, and deliberately reducing its dependence on a single export market. But one statement stood out more than anything else. Canada is on track to double its non-U.S. exports. This is not just an economic goal. It represents a major strategic shift in how Canada sees its role in the global economy. For decades, the United States shaped Canada's commercial outlook and remained its primary economic focus. Now, Carney is making it clear that the future will look very different.
Canadian and Saudi businesses have signed 13 new commercial agreements across education, critical minerals and mining, energy, infrastructure, security, artificial intelligence. In education, agreements to train workers in some of the kingdom's most dynamic industries, building the skills that will power its next decade of growth. In critical minerals and mining, new Canadian engineering partnerships are working on some of the most ambitious mining projects here, unlocking over $2 trillion of mineral wealth. In energy and infrastructure, Canadian expertise is supporting roads, rails, and urban development across the kingdom, along with clean building technologies that help it build sustainably. And in defense and security, new training partnerships support the kingdom's efforts to build domestic aviation and defense industry capabilities. In artificial intelligence, Canadian AI and health technology partnerships are helping to transform patient monitoring, diagnostics, and surgical care. We're aiming to conclude negotiations with Saudi Arabia for a foreign investment promotion and protection agreement by the first quarter of next year. Canada's Minister of Finance, who's here, intends to lead a delegation of Canadian pension funds and their $2 trillion of capital to visit the Kingdom in coming months to identify new investment opportunities. And Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund will visit Canada in the fall, attending our Canada Investment Summit, which showcase some of our transformative projects. Canada is also announcing that we will participate in Expo 2030 here in Saudi, bringing Canadian projects, expertise, showcasing the best of Canada at what will be a landmark event. I would like to thank His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, and the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia for his hospitality and for our rich discussions this afternoon.
Those ambitions are already starting to turn into real agreements. Instead of making this visit only about diplomatic symbolism, Canada and Saudi Arabia announced new partnerships in critical minerals, artificial intelligence, energy, infrastructure, defense, and education. Canadian pension funds are preparing to explore new investment opportunities in the Kingdom, while Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund will send a delegation to Canada. These are not isolated announcements. They are part of a much broader strategy to strengthen Canada's economic relationships with partners across the world.
We recognize a couple of things. One is that engagement is not endorsement. So engaging with the country doesn't mean that we agree with everything that a country is doing. In fact, I can't think of a country on the planet where we would agree with everything that they're doing, first point. No country is Canada, and we don't even agree with everything that's happening in Canada. Better is always possible, including for Canada. So that's the first. The second is that we recognize in a world that's more dangerous, that's more divided, a world where we need to diversify our partnerships, where we become over-reliant on a partner with whom we share many things. The United States, obviously, we share many things, and we value that partnership, but we're over-reliant, and that's been demonstrated. Canadians have very strongly recognized that, and we're looking to diversify. So we are actively engaging with key partners around the world. We are calibrating those engagements depending on alignment and depending on our interests. Part of our interests is to build our strategic capabilities. In other words, to build in areas that make Canada more resilient, stronger, more independent. And where there's complementarities, we do that. And then the last element, it's not the last element, but last element I'll hand back, is we recognize as a government the importance of countries that are active and influential in geographies in the world and in situations in the world about which we care deeply. Canada has always cared deeply about the Middle East.
When asked why Canada was putting so much effort into building relationships like this one, Carney gave an unusually clear answer. He admitted that Canada had become too dependent on the United States and argued that recent events had exposed the risks of relying too heavily on any single partner. His conclusion was simple. Canada must diversify, strengthen its own strategic capabilities, and build a more resilient economy by expanding its partnerships across the world. It was one of the clearest explanations yet of the government's long-term economic strategy.
Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund confirmed to us today that they will be at the investment summit. We very much welcome that. The scale of RSVPs is such that there'd be very broad and deep representation at that summit, which is great. So part is getting people and the decision makers to be there, no disrespect to others, but you need the decision makers there. The second is you have to be doing things differently. I mean, if you're a candidate, you have to improve. No, there are very few people who get up in the morning and think about Canada. I mean, that's the reality. And so making the country more attractive for investment, upping our ambition, the transformation, being with Canada means being with the rest of the world. So our trade agenda, and maybe I'm worried, I'm sorry, I'm going on, but we have free trade agreements with 1.5 billion consumers, if I can put it that way. We're going to double that this year. That makes Canada very attractive as not just a destination, but also a hub. And so that's also what brings it in. And then I guess the last point I'd make is, after that last point, the last point I'd make is that, we have a pretty clear strategy of where we want to go. We're trying to make the country, I think we will do this, more resilient, more independent, more strategically autonomous, so I use that. So there's areas where we have strengths. Energy is a clear one. And we can sort of go it alone on energy. There's areas where we can build, we have complementary strengths. Space, AI, two examples, where we can do that. Critical minerals, you need the full chain, so you develop that in those ways. And so that also helps success because people are coming and realizing, okay, you have a strategy. This isn't just flavor of the month. It's something you're going to build out over time. You've got a big market. You've got rule of law. You've got smart people. You've got an ambitious country, and you're connected to the world. Those are components that can bring success, but you also have to execute, which was your first question.
The final exchange shifted the focus from Saudi Arabia to Canada's broader investment strategy. Carney explained that attracting global investment is no longer just about having a stable economy. It is about showing investors that Canada has a long-term vision, strong institutions, and access to markets around the world. By expanding its free trade partnerships and positioning Canada as a gateway to international markets, the government hopes to make the country not only a top destination for investment, but also a strategic hub for global business. For generations, the United States was the unquestioned center of Canada's economic strategy. Today, that strategy is changing. Canada is expanding into new markets, attracting fresh investment, strengthening relationships with influential partners, and building an economy that is more resilient and less dependent on any single country. History often produces unexpected consequences. Policies that were designed to put America first have also encouraged Canada to speed up its partnerships across Europe. Across the Middle East and Asia, Canada is expanding its reach. Whether by design or by circumstance, this shift is reshaping Canada's position in the global economy. And if today's announcements are any indication, this transformation is only just beginning. The real question is no longer whether Canada is diversifying its economy. The question is how quickly that transformation will continue. If you enjoyed today's analysis, don't forget to subscribe to Canada Today, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Canada has made the right decision by expanding its economic partnerships beyond the United States?